Hey, everybody. Welcome on this Sunday evening to Enlightened Souls Paranormal Wolfpack Podcast. My name is Mark Lee. I'm your host, and we have a great show for you tonight. We got our guests here from the Pennsylvania Underground Paranormal Society. They're going to be joining us here pretty soon. We got Lisa and David coming on with us. And, of course, right now, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, my co-host, Sean Ellis.
Hey guys,
How's it going, Sean?
I'm hanging in there. It's a nice day today so far. Even
Oh,
though
it's
it's a little
beautiful.
rainy.
Yeah, beautiful. And the grass needed the rain, So
Oh yeah, definitely. At
yeah,
least it ain't hot and muggy, and it's kind of cool. Went for a walk, and yeah, it's been pretty good.
yeah, it's been really nice. I hope everybody's having a great day out there. So we got some interesting. This is going to be an interesting week for Enlightened Souls.
It's going to be a long week too.
we have the investigation on Wednesday night. It's a residential that we've been to before, and activity.
Well, actually, you guys have been there before because that was the week before I joined the team.
That is true. So, but the activity has started to pick up once again. Nothing negative. Nobody's getting scratched or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then Friday night, that I'm looking forward to.
Yes, the overnighter.
Yeah, we're going to stay all night on someone's property down by Lewiston, Illinois. They bought this property. They built a new home on the property, and they dug a pond. And as soon as they dug that pond, they started having very adverse things happening around the property inside the home. So I'm thinking since the river is very close to their house, that they possibly could have built this house and dug that pond on an Indian burial ground and not even known it.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's pretty much what happened.
But I'm getting the feeling that there's an elemental spirit involved with this. And that's why we've contacted the person who we contacted to possibly go with us. He's a full-blown shaman healer, and he might go down there with us to try to calm things down.
And he's actually one of my teachers right now as well.
Yes, you are. Yeah, he's your sensei. Yes, he's your master. So
I don't know if he'll claim that. But
I know, right?
But anyway, that's definitely going to be an interesting night.
Yes, it's going to be a fun night. I can't wait to hear. I mean, literally, when you get in the tent, you get into your sleeping bag, and you get bunked down for the night. What are we going to hear? Now, I'm going to leave some cameras out, of course, rolling in areas, and EVP recorders, definitely going to have those out going too. But I'm just curious what we're going to hear with our own ears going on around us.
Exactly.
That night. That's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, especially even the person that owns the property, his friend mentioned that there's a lot of stuff going around, even in the timbered area.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting to see what we come across in there as well.
I'm just hoping. Well, you know how I am, right? I mean, when we go on a paranormal investigation, I'm the target. I'm the one they scratch and bite, and I'm just hoping I don't get drug out of my tent and thrown into the pond. That's just that doesn't happen. I'm good. So
if they do that, I'm just going to sit back and kind of laugh for what
I know you would. I know you would, right?
I just got to see that would happen, but I'm going to watch it.
So yeah, I mean, this week's going to be busy. And then, of course, Saturday night, I have another concert to do with my band Decade of Decadence. It's pretty much sold out, but it's going to be a very busy week for me. So,
and then the following week, we head out of town.
Yes. The following week, we're going to be going to Indiana. Sean and I'll be going out to Indiana for a investigation with another team out there. But what I find interesting is we've got, oh, hey, buddy, what's up? He's kind of going in and out of the background, but
kind of sitting here. He's got to get his screen time like
Yeah,
Cat does.
that's Guardian. Yep. So, hey, what's up, Moose man? Good to see you. Moose, if you don't know, he owns a haunted mansion, and we actually went to his mansion, and it was an interesting night. Hey, Lori, how you doing, Lori? Um, Lori is one of the people we'll be seeing. What do you mean we have no sound?
No, we got sound. I can hear you.
Okay. I think Moose just has bad internet.
Possibly.
So, anyway, the things that we are going to be experiencing over the next week are going to bring back a lot of memories from 1 or 2 years ago, at least for me. And like I said, I think things are going to be great. Here is one of the ladies of the team. She just popped on. She's one of the layer of the Phoenix gals. Here's Michelle.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey Bob.
All right. So now that we got Michelle here, why don't we bring on the team lead for the Pennsylvania Underground Paranormal Society? Let's bring on Lisa. Hey.
Hey Lisa.
How you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Yeah, we might have to mute your mic, Michelle, because it's really loud.
That better? Stupid truck was loud. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
She's driving. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
She's mobile.
Yep.
We always say, Michelle, she's mobile, hostile, and agile. Look out.
And dexterous.
Are you all going this week on the investigations? Like all?
Yes, Michelle, and Barb are both going to go Wednesday night. Yep.
Oh, nice.
There's Chris. Chris is her husband. He's one of our camera guys.
Yep.
He claims to be the best looking guy on the team. We won't talk about that right now. But
I won't argue with you.
yeah, he's laughing.
Well, I have to concur with him on that.
You're going to confirm on that, huh? Okay.
Well,
I know you're going to be biased, of course, but you know.
the thing is with Chris, he's actually got a unique set of skills. He can ground people.
Yep.
He has no clue. He has no clue.
She's in a bad area.
A lot of good energy.
Yeah, but that was quick though. Came out of the bad area. Quick.
Yep. So I understand, Lisa, you have a new member of your team.
Yeah.
And he's here with us.
Yes,
Let's bring on. Let's bring on.
Our radio
Huh?
show.
Go ahead. Oh, he's part of a radio show. Yep. Let's bring on David.
Yeah,
Here he is.
Hello, David.
Hi, David.
Howdy, howdy.
What are you doing? We're missing one though. We're missing a couple, Sean and Fabian, but you know, but that's okay. Yep. That's us.
It's really difficult during the summer to get people scheduled all meshed up together.
Well, yeah, you know what? Our group is really prides itself on historic preservation first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So we usually do.
I think she froze.
Yep.
She froze up again.
Damn. Yeah, she froze. The team, Lisa and Don in particular, when they started it, they did a lot of the historical research
Right.
for, especially for Selma Mansion, right there in Norristown, Pennsylvania. They actually were able to do the research.
Interrupt you, David, but could you speak up just a
Okay, then. I don't know what happened.
Okay,
I
you're
kept
back.
Talking. I didn't know if you can hear me, but we do praise yourself again. Like what we do, we don't do personal home records.
This area moves.
Because I don't feel I'm qualified for that anyway. You know, but we do historic locations to document the spirits, if the ones at the location are the ones, because you know people bring spirits with them all the time every time you go somewhere. So like guides and all that. But we document them and try to go along with the history. So we research not only the EVPs we get, the box audio we get, any video we get. Then it's a process of trying to actually sort out who you are getting, and when you get a concrete answer and you're like, here, this is at the location, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always good to have a little bit of background history on the property you're going to go to. I don't like to get too much background history because I want my people to tell me what they see and what they feel there, even though we might have the history in a file or something. And then when we're done, you go and you compare that. Now she's muted.
Yeah,
Now-
she lost sound.
We lost your audio, Lisa.
We cannot hear you, Lisa. I'm sorry.
You have no audio. I don't know why her mic is muted for some reason.
The spirits don't want her talking.
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
That is, here recently, I'd have to say that is a very high possibility. I know during a couple of our shows,
Let me text her.
if she can see it, yeah. But we had her spirit guide call into our radio show maybe 3 weeks ago. She clipped the audio out. She went back and listened, and you could definitely hear. He said, "You should know it's Walter," and Walter is the name of Lisa's spirit guide.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, she's still trying to talk, and we can't hear her.
Hold on. I think I know a way to communicate.
I don't have any paper to write on.
Nope, neither do I, but I'm going to handle this.
I do. I got paper.
Okay, we'll do this.
That's a big piece of paper there.
That works.
We cannot hear you, Lisa.
She says it's working.
Not on this end, it ain't.
No.
I think, like I said, maybe the spirits just don't want anything said. We've come across that on a few podcasts before where it's cut out and we start talking about certain
I
things.
can't.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, like her and Dawn, when they started doing all the research on Selma Mansion Plantation right there in Norristown, I don't know if you guys know much about the historical sites in Pennsylvania at all. The Selma Mansion is basically I think the most historical part of it. That is where the United States Marine Corps was actually founded.
Wow.
People sat there. I mean, yeah, Lisa, she'll have all the documentation on that. She's done a lot on Fort Mifflin, especially in regards to William Howe, and has been able to get his whole story out. I can't see that.
Now she froze. Hey, Mark. You might want to type another message, maybe say reboot her phone.
Yeah.
And then come back in.
Yeah.
Because now she's froze up again.
Yeah, she froze, and then she came back on and lost the audio.
Yeah.
Well, her apartment's, she's got a basement apartment, so that might be part of the interference too.
Yeah.
No.
There she goes.
No, I took her out.
All right, we'll see. But yeah, I haven't personally. I haven't been with Lisa's team for a whole long time. The only place I've been to with her to do an investigation of sorts was down at Fort Mifflin. And like I was telling Mark earlier, for her, that's not even really an investigation anymore. That's like going home and just having a chat with your friends. She's for as many years as she's spent out there, they all know her. They talk to her all the time. They've done a lot of documentation, getting like even before the Judge Wilhelm was brought out. They were getting him coming across the Frank's box there in casemate 5, I believe, 4 or 5. But it is an amazing location.
First, I had to go all the way back out and come all the way back in. I don't know. It said it was working.
Yeah.
She's
Can't
back.
hear me, can you?
We can hear you. We can hear you now.
You were like the perfect wife for 5 minutes. Your mouth was going, but we couldn't hear a dang thing. No, just kidding. Aren't you froze again? She's froze.
Yeah.
I can't see her screen. Oh, by the way, we stopped moving, so I don't have to be muted now.
There you go.
So, David, question for you. What's the most interesting paranormal experience you've had?
Actually, I'd have to say that would be down at the Peoria Asylum, Bowen Building.
Very active there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, way back we were doing. Hang on, and then it was a full public investigation. We had Chip Coffey and Patty Starr that night. Chip was connecting with some really foul-mouthed spirit in the building. I mean, just cutting him loose, called him all sorts of names.
Yeah, they don't like Chip sometimes because Chip is very intuitive. He was one of my favorites to watch on TV for the longest time.
Yeah, Chip was good, and I remember that night we had certain rooms in the basement of the building that we never took anybody into for investigations. Never gave anybody information on it, but I purposely took Patty into one room because of the spirit interaction that I know we did have was with a black gentleman, and Patty being a Southern woman, I wanted to kind of get a read on the interaction between her and this man's spirit. And at first he was a little belligerent, and then he actually warmed up a little bit and he spoke to her. So that was a good night overall.
Now the Bowen building's been torn down, of course.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But there still is the Pollock Hospital, which is now known as the Aura. A gentleman bought it, and he's turned it into a Halloween haunted house. It's pretty good.
He's been doing that for almost 2 decades now.
Yeah, he owns a bunch of them.
We actually had an investigation there.
But this is a haunted house where when you actually go through it, you'll actually feel someone play with your earlobe. You'll feel somebody play with your hair.
Yeah, I think Lisa's guides are messing with her reception here.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing that
that everything's shutting down on her right there, and it's never done that before.
I think the most interesting place that I've ever been outside of a friend of mine, her name's Tammy. She's got a house. She has this tree that has an Indian chief in it. It's very interesting, but not frightening. Now, the most frightening experience I ever had, I was helping move remains in the hospital morgue, and one of the people appeared to me in full form. I thought it was a living person, and then just disappeared. And I was like, "Oh."
See,
Well, when I turned around again, they were back, and they had shown how they died. They were really, really messed up. So that scared me a little bit.
yeah, I can't say that I've ever been scared on an investigation yet.
I haven't either so far.
There's
I haven't been
you know,
afraid on an investigation, but as far as anything in general, yes. Once. Somebody likes Nirvana.
Somebody's got some Nirvana going.
that's my text tone, of course.
Come as you are.
Little connection. All right, she's going to try to come back in a minute or two. She's going to try to reset the phone again and see if that'll help. But,
She may have to go outside. You know.
For Illinois, yeah. I mean, that was pretty wild down at the Bowen. I was one of those that we weren't supposed to, but we snuck through the tunnels under the road to the other bakery side before it got torn down, and that was pretty wild underneath. Just the construction down there, the brickwork and the vaulted ceilings. It was pretty eerie.
Oh, yes.
The cemetery down there behind the Pollock, that's pretty wild.
We have one here, and it's a pretty good sized cemetery that we frequent. It's pretty live. There's a little boy named Noah that visits Mark, and a couple of interesting creatures there.
See, I wanted to get into Hope Cemetery up there in Galesburg, my hometown, at night. I know it's very, very highly frowned upon, but there's a couple of areas in there that when I'd gone through there during the day with a friend of mine years back, he kept getting drawn back towards one of the Civil War era or Revolutionary Wars. Sean, you know where the new mausoleum part is.
Yep. I know exactly where that's at.
Right behind that is an old, like the initial Revolutionary War cemetery plot.
Mm-hmm.
She kept getting drawn into there, and I can't remember the name she kept saying that was going through her mind all the time. She kept hearing it only in her right ear. And it kind of freaked her out. So if you get a chance, you might want to go check that out a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the ones on the list for the team for us to do.
I'm
Is
afraid
go out to Hope
things.
Cemetery.
Are you back now, Lise?
Yeah, I guess. I
Okay.
don't know
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We got you now.
Okay. That was
Mm.
weird. That was the weirdest thing. You missed it. Okay. So when that happened, right, and I went to type you in chat, and I did, and I pressed send, and I closed it out. My screen started flipping crazy. Like it was going, I'm like, what the hell is my phone doing? It was like showing this and that and that and this, and then it just went poof. I'm like, oh my God. No, I have no idea what happened.
Your spirits is
I think you have a spirit does not want you talking.
Mm.
No, maybe. I mean, it could. No. Walter would let me talk in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
No
I think
problem with
Walter would because, with Walter calling us on the radio show, I'm sure he'd want to get his voice.
I know. Oh my God, that was crazy.
Some of you
Oh my God.
know we're
Yeah.
here, but you're
trickster. Yeah, that's a possibility too.
Of what? Yeah.
I know what you have.
You do. I know what I
Yeah.
have too. What is it?
It's a little fae, and she just likes you. She's messing with you so that way she can get through to
Actually,
communicate.
no. I have a spirit guide named Walter and a spirit guide named William, and I know who they are. I don't have any little girl here with fangs. Okay? Seriously. I've been at this my entire fucking life. I know who I have with me, and I know what they're up to, and I know what they're doing, and I know I communicate with them all the time, and they're good. No negativity is allowed to touch.
Well, yeah, the fae Little girls, though, they're fairies. They just visit as friendly things most of the time.
She froze up again.
She froze up again. Wait, where'd she go?
But
So-
yeah, I do know exactly where you're talking about in Hope Cemetery, and it's always been an interesting place. There's been people that's actually got pictures of pretty good size orbs out of there as well, and that's been a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm going to wind up, I think, this summer just walking up the mountain road here because I've got an old cemetery, maybe 3 miles up, like late 1700s, early 1800s era, and just do a mild walk-through investigation, see what kind of activity I can get and who I can talk to.
Right.
But, here, before I joined Lisa's team, I was working with Maine Afterlife Research Society and the Maine Paranormal Investigation Team. We've been to a few decent places. Swan Island's a really good one. I don't have all the history on that I should, which is it's part of what Lisa's helping me figure out, how to get into digging up all that old information. Because she's done it for a lot longer than I have historically. I know there's an Indian burial ground on the island. There were maybe only 10 houses at all, and only 6 of them still stand.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's an early settlement. There were skirmishes between the white people and the Indians that were there. If I'm right, I think there was a Penobscot Indian tribe.
Yeah. It's, like I said, I think the most intense one we've been on, at least, that had been the Galesburg residential house that we did, and the stuff that we found in there I'll never forget that investigation. The stuff that we found there and what happened, it was just that's one of them that's going to stick with me for a long time.
Right.
And even Manlius, the night that me and Mark dealt with the one we dealt with that night, and those are the top 2. But something tells me this weekend, with dealing with the possible Indian burial ground and what's out there and not knowing what else is there, it's going to get really interesting.
Oh, definitely. And you said the place you're going to is down around Lewiston.
Yeah.
It was known to be Shawnee area.
Funny, I was thinking more Kankakee Indian tribe, but I could be wrong. I'm more than likely wrong because I don't know.
Yeah.
We thought it was really strange too, because the place we're going to is actually called One Wolf Ranch.
Yeah.
So it's going to get real interesting.
Huh.
And it's going to be very exciting, is in the fact of waiting for that one to come up.
Yeah. When they dug the pond, did they notice any debris that they drug out of the dirt?
I don't think he was paying much attention.
Yeah.
And that's,
one of his
that's
friends.
Part of the whole, yeah, that's a big part of when you're doing groundwork like that. If you don't know the history of the location, you don't even think about looking into the ground for what's coming out of it. So that can always stir up any kind of activity that's in the area. And with Illinois being as diverse as it is and was always with the native tribes, you never know what you're going to come across. So yeah, I mean, you could end up with native spirits or an elemental in play, something that just got a little ticked off that something disturbed its little spot of land.
Yeah, well, his friend that we talked to him maybe a day or 2 later after we talked to the original or the owners, and he was telling us he's actually found Indian head arrowheads and stuff,
Right.
and even possibly a bone of some type, and he wasn't positive of what it exactly was either, and some odds and ends out there. So he's pretty sure it's an Indian burial ground or some
Yeah, it's
type of
like,
Indian.
see, I know down the road there was, I don't know, about 5 years ago, they were doing a lot of excavation right along the roadside by the river because
Mhm.
it was a camp spot for one of the local tribes. And as soon as they started digging that up, people in Strong just down the road started having some weird activity coming through. And I'm like, yep, see, you can't go playing with the Indian stuff because they're going to get pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've encountered a little bit of the Indians when we went down to Chillicothe,
Right.
and we found something that had to deal with the underground. And Mark started playing the Indian peace dance of those Indians down there, and the REM pod just started going off.
Right.
I mean, it just kept going round and round and round, and it was just like I've never seen it flash as much as that night. That thing was just constantly going when we were playing that song. So,
So
but yeah,
they may have been dancing with it. So
yeah, I'm sure they probably were. I mean, when Mark says we come in peace, and he started playing that drum dance, and like I said, that REM pod was just flashing.
how
And
often?
that's what I asked him to do. I said the most active area. I want you to get like a little bag of Red Man tobacco, make an offering of tobacco, and then I sent him the Shawnee Indian Peace Drum Dance. That says play this over a speaker as loud as you can.
Right.
But while it's playing, excuse me, I want you to be saying, I didn't mean, any ill will.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
I'm sorry. I want to make peace with you. And asked him to do that. And he said he was actually afraid to do it.
Oh no. Well, I can understand with not being um, familiar with the native customs. I can understand a little bit of fear doing it, but it should be done. And
Yeah.
I haven't lived in Illinois for a long time now, so I don't know what kind of fruit trees would actually grow best in the state. Maybe just get a small cherry tree start and plant that on the
Mm-hmm.
property, because that will also help appease any native spirit that might be pissed off at you.
Right. Because see, here in our area, we have the Shawnee, we have the Kickapoo, we have the Peoria tribe.
Right.
We have 3 or 4 different tribes, and so we really have to research on maps, old maps, what areas were, inhabited by different tribes.
Right.
But it's definitely going to have to be him, because I think they recognize him as being the leader, of his family.
Oh yeah.
He's got to be the one, saying,
He's got to
sorry
be the
for
one.
disturbing this ground, and me being kind of naive, not understanding what's here, and wanting to be peaceful with them instead of wanting to, do other things without, I don't know, acknowledging that it was actually theirs.
Right.
So
Yeah. No. As him being the yeah, I guess he'd be the tribe leader for his family, so he'd have to be the one to do it.
right.
He'd have to make the connection, make the apology, make the offerings, and just make peace all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After your investigation, that way you can maybe get some good evidence for him.
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping to find some good stuff there. I hope, because, like I said, there's quite a bit of ground with the timber there and stuff. So, and then there's out by the lake, and then he said the activity by the house, and he even says his young child sees things, and even his wife has seen shadows.
Okay.
So it's And even the guy that we talked to, that's his friend, even said he's seen a lot of things that's out there too. So
Did we totally lose Lisa?
I don't know what's going on with it. Let me see if.
if you definitely come down to Galesburg, David, you got to let us know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it might be a little while before I get there, but I mean, shit. I'm all the way up in Maine now, and I mean, I've still got family back all the way through Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
Galesburg, Gloria. I think my daughter just moved into Morton. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to come back, run the streets again, and remember the days.
Yeah. A lot of places are kind of closed down here in the Berg now. I mean, basically just restaurants and odds and ends anymore. But
Yeah, there wasn't too much going on when I bailed on the town, and then they tried to pick it up, moving bigger stores in between Galesburg and East Galesburg. But from what I'd heard, the mall has gone to hell,
oh yeah, it's done.
and yeah.
One of the places I'd like to get the team into, and I've been trying to work on it, is the old research out there at the Hawthorns area.
I used to hang out there a lot when I was a kid. My mother actually worked out there as a nurse. So I kind of roamed around some of the wings where I shouldn't have been roaming around. The older research section for where they had the animal research going on.
Mm-hmm.
I was roaming around in there. The nurses' quarters out towards the front of the property. That place is pretty wild. I mean, I remember hearing stupid shit back when I was, 16, 17, when I was hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going away. It's just,
Right.
With everything falling silent in the buildings there, you actually might be able to hear it better.
There's actually what do you call them? The Boy Scouts in the area actually made a haunted house in one of the buildings out there, and they've been doing it for a couple of years. I don't think they've done it since COVID though.
Right.
But they've got a smaller version of the haunted house through one of those two little buildings back there, and you can feel the energy in there too.
Yeah, that place has got a shit ton of old history.
Mm-hmm.
The old Civil War hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It's been used for POW camp, I believe, through both World Wars. Don't quote me on that because I didn't do a lot of research.
That's probably exactly right. I mean, those buildings have been around for a long time.
Right.
Down on the south end of town, there's an old bridge overpass, and there used to be a lot of vagrants and homeless that lived there until the city ran them out. But you can go under that overpass at night, and you can hear cars passing, but there's no cars. You can hear people talking. There's no living people there.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically that viaduct is pretty active.
Another place that would be good is the old research down there across from City Hall.
Oh, yeah, St. Mary Square?
Yeah, the old St. Mary Square. It's actually been closed up and boarded up, and nobody's actually supposed to go in it. But that's a huge building with a lot of history in that too.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to get permits from the city to enter? That way everything would be legal?
Well, as far as I know, there's the reason that they can't really go in there. Some of the floor area is bad, and also there's a lot of asbestos in there, so
Oh,
they
we
don't
don't
really.
go.
They don't want anybody in there.
See, that's what took the Bowen building out of operation. Is they didn't do the abatement on it the way they should have,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of screwed everything up. It was a damn good building. The foundation was solid. Beautiful, beautiful place. If they could have done it, I mean, would have been one hell of a bed and breakfast.
Sorry about that.
I remember when I was younger, because I grew up in Alexis, and there used to be a hardware store there. And we used to go upstairs in the hardware store, and it used to be an old Orpheum theater where they put on plays and everything else. And boy, there was so much energy in there, and they've redone it all, and the fire department's got it. And I'd kind of like to get into that building too.
See, well, the Orpheum in Galesburg's still in use, isn't it?
Yep.
You can get in there.
Yeah, that would be a good one as well.
That one's got a ton of history on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So does the library in Galesburg.
Yeah, there's a few things going on there. Actually, the new library they're building right now, they've had 3 or 4 dead bodies on it even before they started building.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've had people just kind of wander through, get off the train, and they've found them on the property.
Right.
So,
see, all the older buildings back home that would have been good for investigations, like the original train station, train depot.
mm-hmm.
When they tore that whole thing down, I think they just displaced a lot of the energy, so it's got to go somewhere.
Right. Yeah, there's
I don't know.
even like across from the train yard and some of the buildings there too. From the train station there is now. There's a lot of old buildings there that they've converted over and etc. That'd be good too. Even a place that me and Mark and Team Parallax ate at one time, the packing house.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We would get into that old building. That would be something else too.
Well, you know that packing is bound to have something going on because of all the animals that go through there. There's at least going to be animal spirits there.
Well, I was thinking the old Coca-Cola bottling plant down there, which had some. It had some bad history. This is way back when it had cocaine actually in the Coca-Cola. So,
right. Where exactly was that building located at when you were back here?
The Coke bottling place.
Was that the one down by the viaduct?
Right. Yeah. You come past that. There was that lumber yard right there.
Yeah. Down by South Street.
Yep. You come right up on the other side of that. It was right there.
So that'd be like the ice plant, or it used to be ice or something like that when I was growing up, I think, or coming through. I think they used to redo dartboards and stuff there, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think maybe they did.
But I know where that's at too.
Yeah, right in that same spot, right?
There used to be a bed and breakfast house there on the hill at one point, wasn't there? Right underneath that viaduct. As soon as you come under the viaduct and on the right hand side, there used to be a big, huge house there. Wasn't that a bed and breakfast? Yeah,
I don't remember what they did with that.
Yeah, I remember them tearing that one down. But that was pretty old too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old school board building, that big limestone house with the wrought iron fence. What is that on Fremont?
Yeah.
And I forget where, but it still has the old carriage house that they turned into an apartment overhead. I walked through that one time, and you could just feel all that old energy still stored in that stone. So that would be, I mean, there's a lot of places. And there again, I mean, to be able to confirm what you're hearing on audio or, you know, on video or whatever you're getting, that's where the historical research comes into play. So, you know, you can actually corroborate if you can look on paper and see, okay, yeah, so and so died on this property in such and such year, and you can go through and you get their name and their conversation on audio through a French box or just on EVP, then
Right. And get positive responses out of it, you know.
and
That'd
see, I
be
mean, yeah, at the beginning of the show, I mean, I know Mark said he didn't like to have a whole lot of information prior to going on an investigation, which I am kind of I'm okay with that. I
Well,
kind of the same way.
let me clarify, David. We can have all the information, you know, like all the history, but we only release partial parts to the team before they go in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's kind of what I mean as well. It's having one person know what's going on and then the rest of the team going in more or less blind or cold. If they can come up with the same names, the same dates, then it's like, so yeah, okay, you actually spoke to such and such who was
right.
here and did pass away. It's like, so
Exactly.
you know, then you can actually blow the team's mind and it's like, yep, see, what we're doing is actually valid.
Mhm.
Right. It gives it authenticity.
Yes, it does.
So, but yeah, like I said, there's a lot of places I'd kind of like to get into, and I can't find certain people that own certain buildings here in town. But they're even the old Wells building down off Main Street, off the main drag. It used to be a steel plant, or I think it used to be a steel plant. Anyhow, it did machine work or something.
Okay.
That'd be a good one to get into because it's kind of been here since the town's been here, I think.
Pretty much. And Jesus, if you could get into, and I know that's a little trickier, but some of the old churches that are still sitting around, like the one that's right on the square on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
That
The
one
one
was around since the damn town got built.
And that's the one that's got the mummy in it, if I remember right? It's sitting in the lobby.
Yeah, I think they did have it there too. I remember going up to the bell tower, sort of. Shouldn't have. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. But all the pigeons had roosted up there, and it was a mess, and I didn't want to walk on the floor.
There's kind of a myth or a rumor that goes to that. They said the mummy that's in there is one of the reasons why Galesburg don't get hit by a bad storm. That's the myth and rumor. So,
Oh, well, if Galesburg doesn't get hit by bad storms, what happened when I was a kid and we got flooded out? I
well,
remember those rainstorms.
so I remember the rainstorms. I remember the one it was in, what was it, 92 or 93? We got flooded pretty good then. We all got stranded in towns, you know, because we couldn't leave Alexis because every road out of town was a bridge.
Yep, and it was all flooded over.
But I mean, like I said, it's only a rumor or myth that, you know, I've heard it through a couple people, and I never really knew the whole story behind it. And when I tried to find out some things about it, they never really talked about it. But that's what they said, something about like a really bad storm, you know, and that's why. But I mean, I've seen trees and stuff fall, but like I said,
definitely. Trees.
but
Maybe, well, I don't think Galesburg's ever been hit by a tornado, so maybe that's their idea of a bad storm.
yeah, it could be. But like I said, so far it's only myth and myth.
But then again,
yeah. So,
David, you were thinking the exact same thing at the same time I did.
I was also thinking, if you forget the weather patterns as a storm, if you think about the human storm that has come through Galesburg, it is definitely not walking around unscathed. There's been so much shit going on in that town.
oh, Yeah, there's a lot of dark things that go on in this town.
Every town nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, but
unfortunately.
I don't think every town can. Not every town has two people who would chop up their spouse in the same little city as like Galesburg does.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
I remember that happening. That happened when I was in high school.
40-ish years ago, I
Yeah,
want to say, because yeah, they lived 3 houses down from me, same
I, th-
street.
I, th- I think we actually talked about that the last time you were on the
Yep,
podcast with us.
yep, the Santa Maria case.
Mm-hmm.
I actually talked to my sister the other day. She worked down at the courthouse. She said, yeah, they've still got evidence and case files in the courthouse that linger from that case that they can't remove. They can't take them out. They're still going through all that evidence. And it's like, why? He's already been convicted.
Right. Well, I mean, he actually took the blender back to the store.
That's part of what's still sitting in the courthouse because they had it there for evidence during the trial. And it's in one of the boxes that's still stored away.
Wow.
It's like, holy shit, how could a man be that ignorant to take the freaking thing back to Sears and it's like, this don't work.
Yeah,
And they
you
take
think
it apart and find the woman's fingertip in it.
you think you'd put it in the trash barrel and burn it and melt it as much as you possibly could.
Yeah, I don't know. It was bad.
Grim though, things that like that happen, you know.
Well, the
I
funny
guess
thing
your
about it,
dad's had his fair share of some grim stuff too, though.
my aunt was working at the time they brought that back. So that's how I found out about it when I was younger.
But I'm gonna get off of here, guys. I'll talk to you guys another time. And it's great meeting you, David. Have a great night.
You too?
All
See
right,
ya.
thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Lisa's been having issues with her phone. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, she texted me. I see a text that she put on the private chat, and she said, "David, you're gonna have to take it over from here. It won't give me sound, even though my mic is on. So I'll be here just listening."
Well, that's sad. I'd like to, always like to have our guest on and be able to talk to him.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, I remember when I had my old computer and I was going through some of that stuff, and every time it was round and round.
Right. And that's another thing, is
she's working on just data right now instead of Wi-Fi, so that might be part of it.
Right. That's a big problem. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah. One thing about being in the paranormal field is the cost of our equipment keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you're not kidding on that. I mean, and like Lisa was saying, she's been using a Frank's box. Hers was gifted to her by Frank Sumption itself. So I've seen the prices on some of those 20,000 for an actual Frank Sumption box.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit. I'm looking at, $300 for an SB11. And it's like, there's no way in hell I could buy anything else.
Yeah, Mark and I were looking at cameras and they've went up in price.
I think I'll just stay with some of the old school methods that I use. I use dowsing rods. I use my pendulums for scrying. I'll just stick with, old camcorders, audio recorders, old cassette recorders, and not worry about too much of the visual evidence.
Where can you find like old cassette recorders? I haven't seen any of them around for a long time lately.
I've actually got 3 micro cassette recorders that I still use. And I think I got
the little ones.
Yeah, the little ones that are about the size of a digital audio.
Mm-hmm.
And in the basement, I've got one for the old cassette style, the bigger 6-inch.
Yeah.
I just got to make sure it still works. I might start using that again.
Yeah, I
and then
found
see if
some.
I can find people
Actually,
who can tweak out my Furby.
I actually found some old cassette tapes that I had back in the day that I went to go play them, and I don't have nothing to play them on. What I've got don't work anymore, and I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now I've got a Furby here. Those things were creepy when they were freaking brand new.
Oh, I thought those were funny. My daughters were scared of those when they first come out.
Oh,
They started
see?
talking.
This thing has been sitting in its own box in the corner on a shelf for at least 20 years without batteries. And like 6 months ago, it started talking to me.
Wow.
I'm like, all righty then. I guess we take you out of the box, dust you off, and see if we can take you on an investigation.
Well, I'd
When
say so. That'd be interesting.
when
I
they
did
start
it.
talking without power, yeah,
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
right?
I did a experiment back in the day of Furby. I took one to the Philippines, and it took about 2 weeks, but all of a sudden that thing started speaking Filipino.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually learning the Filipino language, just like it learned English.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
not right.
yeah. You'd walk into the room, and and the eyes would blink, and they go "Mabuhay." That's hello. I'm like, well, Mabuhay, Furby.
Yeah, I remember when Teddy Ruxpin come out, and he used to freak kids out.
Oh, he'd be another one that would be great to, if you could find somebody who's good with electronics, have them tweak a Teddy Ruxpin so that it runs off of electromagnetic energy
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
instead of battery power, and take him along, sit him in a corner, and let him talk.
That would be kind of interesting.
It'd be like the original Boo Buddy with newer technology.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. Oh wow.
Another thing would be good too is remember those speaking spells.
Yep.
That would be interesting to take along on an investigation if you had one of those, because it actually said words and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's, and now with what they're doing with AI now. Imagine what they could do with a doll now with artificial intelligence.
What is it?
Mm.
Moose. I'm sorry, I just saw the question. I don't know when he even asked it. Um, yeah, actually, I have had dreams of a past that I'm not positive are mine, but I'm pretty sure they are, and they're not. They're not real pleasant. I remember some of them that I have had. It's almost like I was either an executioner or a torturer back 16th century era, because the things that I was told to do with
Mm-hmm.
people were not pleasant whatsoever. And it's like, yeah, no, I don't like those. I do not like those.
Are you seeing them from your point of view when you do
Oh,
them?
yeah, the few that I remembered from way back, and I haven't had them in years now, maybe because I've kind of tried to block myself out from it. But yeah, I could see it was like my hands reaching to do certain things, and it's like, okay, no, I don't want to be that. I didn't want to ever be that. It's not what I should have been.
Yeah. It's always interesting. I mean, I've had an incident that happened to me. I worked with a colleague, and he was a preacher. And every morning we would do prayers together, and we'd talk together and stuff before work. There was two preachers. And one day he went to work and came back that next morning, and we were sitting there, and I was like, "Did you have a bad night last night?" And he's like, looked at me kind of funny. I said, "Did you walk out the back door of your work area and just kind of threw up your hands?" And he's like, "Do you live close by to where I work?" And I was like, "No." But I had a dream, and I seen through his eyes when he walked out the door. He threw up his hands, and he was so aggravated that night. And I told him what I seen standing on top of the garage, because, like I said, he's a preacher and he's really religious.
Right.
And there's a demon dog I seen through his eyes, not mine, but through his eyes, standing on top of his garage, and it says, "Where's your God now?" That's how aggravated he was that night. And he got to looking up in the Bible, and him and the other preacher were sitting there looking, and it's like, you fall in the category of young men dream dreams of yet to come, and seeing things. But yeah, he was like, wow. But yeah, I distinctly remember that night, because it was like standing just up on top of the garage looking at him. And he said he was just so upset that night and disgusted. And he's like, and I wasn't anywhere around.
Nah.
So
Yeah, I mean, there've been dreams that I've had that literally make zero sense. But again, it's still me seeing what's going on. So it's not like looking at it from the outside. But yeah, I mean, and when you start dreaming about faceless people, that gets a little irritating, a little creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of, I'd had that particular dream for years. And 15 years ago, they went away. So I have to say that it might be because of whoever the faceless person was that I was dreaming, I actually wound up meeting in real life.
Oh, wow.
So
you evidently you must have got your answers that you were looking for, and then it just ended up stopping.
Yeah, it was like, something was telling me that I was going to meet this person, but they couldn't tell me who it was through the dream. That's why there was no face. But then once I met him, the dreams quit, and I haven't had one since. Yeah, dream the I'm not a real lucid dreamer, so when I remember them, they're usually pretty strong. I don't have the luxury of knowing what I dreamt about. I know I wake up a lot of mornings and I'm absolutely worn the hell out. My legs hurt like I've been running around and doing stupid shit all night. I'm like,
kind of like you're drained.
Yeah. And I can't explain it. So, then I can't remember what I was dreaming about. And I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I was running through somebody's mind.
That's one thing that I've done here for the last year and a half or so. Every time I have a dream, I keep a notebook by my bed and I write down all the symbols, all the signs that I see during that dream.
Right.
And then, I find a way to get them translated, or I ask, one of our team members, that's a Reiki master. I ask her, or I'll ask one of the other guys, have you seen this symbol before? What's it mean? And start translating that,
Yeah,
So
dream interpretations, they're a little bit tricky. I mean, you can look at certain symbology in the dream, but if it means nothing to the person who had the dream, then you have to look deeper into the meaning behind it.
I agree.
So, I mean, that's what I mean. When I was dreaming about that faceless individual, I couldn't figure out what the dream was trying to tell me. When I finally met somebody, and the dream just quit, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I was supposed to have been being told. You're going to meet this person and talk to this person and whatever, blah blah blah.
Another one of the most interesting dreams I've had, and I brought this up in the class that I go to, because I go to a shamanic healing class with some shamans and stuff. And I brought this up to them because I had a dream probably 30 some years ago, and it's plain as day. I was standing in the middle of the desert area, and there's a big door. It looks like a a door to a castle, but there's no wall, just the door.
Right.
And I'm standing in front of it, and I look up in the sky, and it's storming like mad. Archangels are falling out of the sky. Tanks are on the ground. Jets are flying. It's like everything was just total chaos. And one of the things it said when I was standing there in front of the door, I hear this voice that says, "Whatever you do, don't let anything out of it."
So that sounds, and I'm not much for, I haven't gotten into dream interpretation, but it sounds like it was a dream of some form of Armageddon, and you were charged with keeping the enemy at bay, which is don't let anything through the door. So,
and one of the things, since I know who some of my spirit guides are, one's Anubis, and I've come across keys in some of my dreams. So it's like the keeper of the underworld too. So I'm just wondering, is that what happens at the end of time when the dead come rise?
I don't know.
So it's interesting, but yeah, the shaman said the same thing at Armageddon. And several people have said that before. You're seeing the end of time.
So David, I'm going to share a picture here.
I didn't do it. I wasn't there.
This was at no, I know you weren't there. This was at the Pollock Hospital.
Oh wait, did you show me that one before?
Maybe the door.
The back of the door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what that door used to be is that was a pre-morgue.
Right.
So when people would die, they'd put their bodies in there until the coroner would come and get the bodies and take them to the real morgue.
Right.
So me being who I am, Sean kind of said, I don't know if I would go in there, Mark. Well, I opened the door and I went in.
That was
and it was very, very cold in that room. And something came across the Ovilus app and it said, "Get out, leave me alone." That's all it said. And I said, very well, I'll respect your wishes. And I got out, I closed the door, and
see, I was in that room myself. I don't remember that being on the back of the door at the time. I really don't. But yeah, that room was cold as shit. And I didn't have a real good feeling in there. I didn't have any audio going at the time, so I didn't hear anything. But I was uncomfortable enough that I walked out, I left the door open, and I just sat in a chair right out the front. And
anymore, I'm apt to use the SB7 more than I am the apps you get on your phone.
See, I'm going to have to agree completely. And I've had this discussion with other people. The technology behind the Ovilus and all the apps, okay, it's good technology, but every word in that app or in that device is programmed.
Right.
It's not random. And if you listen to Bill Chappell, the guy who created the Ovilus, the very first logo, he assigned a specific word to a specific electrical frequency.
Right.
Which can be altered by your entire surroundings and have nothing to do with spirit activity.
Yeah.
So I can't trust the apps. I can't trust the Ovilus. I mean, they're great pieces of equipment when they work properly. But yeah, an SB7 or a Frank's box or something like that, where you can run radio frequency on a linear sweep at a higher rate of speed, so that it's all garbled.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to get better results with it. I think. Personal opinion. It's
right. Want to say hi to Pam Harris? She just came on. Said hello, everybody. Hello, enlightened souls.
Hi.
Pam's got just a few gifts, Just a couple. But
she's good at what she does.
oh yes, very, very much so. The one thing, and everybody asks me, they always ask me, says, "Hey, Mark, you got that paranormal team?" I go, "Yep." And they says, "What do you rely on the most to get an accurate, investigation?" And I know what they're talking about. They want me to say either EVP recorder or some. My answer to them is my team. Yourself,
Yep.
what you feel in the air, what you feel, what you hear.
Yep.
Yourself. That is the best.
And that's, I mean, going along, and I've watched all sorts of paranormal shows. I've watched other podcasters doing live investigations. I might be able to hear on their equipment what they're hearing, but to me, it really doesn't mean much without actually experiencing what they're feeling at the same time.
Exactly.
Being on site.
Right. You have to have all of that go along with all of your
Right.
emotions, your sensations, your intuition coincides with all the evidence that you get, so that you can actually say,
right,
yeah, this is actually what happened. This is what I felt at the time when I heard that.
Right.
So, a voice that might have said, you hear it on a clip from somebody that says, "Get out." Okay. But if you weren't there to feel negative energy when those two words came out, it could mean anything.
Ooh.
If you were there and you didn't feel any negative intent with those two words, then maybe they were just trying to give you a warning instead. Like, get out, something bad's going to happen, or get out and get some fresh air, or just whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you have to use every molecule that you are made up of during an investigation to get any good results, along with all of your equipment. And it doesn't even have to be modern technology. Like I said, I use dowsing rods, I use pendulums, and yeah, I mean,
sometimes old school is better.
I think in some of the older places that you might be able to get to, and I know spirits they're not stupid. They'll be able to figure out quick what your equipment can do and what it won't do.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something that they're more accustomed to seeing, they might be able to interact a lot quicker using that than, oh, hey, here's this broken TV with a feedback loop running through it. Just, step in front of the camera and appear on the TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not going to know what a TV is. They're not going to know what a camera was.
Right.
And until they do it and figure out that, oh, hey, I did that. Now they can see or hear me. Now I know how to use the equipment. And yeah, that goes back to hearing some of these big name paranormal teams. I trained the spirits how to use my ghost box. It's like, you didn't train nobody shit. They used it. They knew what they were doing afterwards, and it's like, oh, okay. But at the same time, and there have been experiments that I've had people that I've known people have done. And I don't know if you guys have done it yourselves, but, set 4 audio recorders up in one particular spot, not too far away from each other, and just see if you get the exact same audio evidence on all 4 of them.
Correct.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes it only comes through on one. And it's the same with people. I mean, you can go into an investigation with 12 people and only have one person hear a direct voice from them. And everybody else is like,
well, I think spirits are like people. We'll sit there and say, yeah, I think I'll talk to that person. They seem like a nice person or whatever. I think spirits are the same way. They can tell, and then a lot of these places that are, getting 2 or 3 teams in a week or whatever, I think the spirits get just burnt out. They're like, oh, this again? The same questions again? You know? But Moose says, what do I think of my team as a whole? I think we are growing. I think we are still always and always learning. Sometimes we learn what to do, and sometimes we learn what not to do. We are a family. We're like brothers and sisters. And sometimes you'll see us online. We will act like brothers and sisters. We do have our goofy moments. I'm not going to lie to anybody. We like to kid around with each other, not so much during investigations, but it's gotten a little out of hand on a couple of them where we started goofing around and it got carried away. But I think like when we tell jokes or whatever and we're laughing, and right after everybody's done laughing, we've gotten a lot of evidence. I think spirits love to see that.
They do. I have to completely agree. The more you try to force, and this is one that was funny as hell. And you guys know we've all done this during an investigation. You go in and you try to communicate with a spirit, and you ask for spirit to make a noise, knock on a wall, do something to let you know that it's there. We've all done that before. Mm-hmm. At the hotel when I went down to Fort Mifflin when I was with Lisa down there, she was running the Frank's box in the hotel room. We were just hanging out, and her guide Walter hollered my name out, and I'm like, okay, what? He goes, look at yourself in the mirror. So I walked over, and I'm standing there staring in the mirror, and he said, look up. So I looked up. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, what am I doing? And Walter come back and he said, turn around. And then it went quiet. And we sat there. We were talking about it. She goes, oh, my God, they did to you what we do to them.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, they were commanding you to do something and getting you to do it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They did to me what people do to spirits all the time. Mm-hmm. Knock on the wall. Do this. It's like, so yeah, they did it. And that's part of the connection that she's got with her two spirit guides, Walter and William. Mm-hmm. They're either her comedy club, because they always, they'll joke around. And I've heard the clips. I've heard of the full box audio live.
Right.
They're joking around, calling William Stinky Walter, and saying that William farted or something like that. And then they can get serious, and they'll team up and do some investigations on their own. So it gets pretty interesting on the communication she gets through the box.
Right. And see, that's another thing. People say, so if you rely so much on your team, then why do you have to have REM pods? Why do you have to have these cat balls? And I said, because the people that are watching on the internet, they can't feel what the team feels. They're not there. They can't feel the energy. So we use those visual aids just to show them, look, there is something here, and it is triggering this device.
Most definitely.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing when we go in somewhere and the team would be like, yeah, this is the same question to David. What do you think of your team as a whole?
My team?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to actually investigate with Fabian yet because, he lives down south. Mm-hmm. We're working towards kind of getting together and doing something in Pennsylvania. With Lisa, she's really good. I mean, she is comfortable. Mm-hmm. She has a different outlook on communication. She doesn't do a lot of, she'll turn her Frank's box on sometimes and she'll just like, okay, we're here, guys. Here's your chance. Tell us whatever you want to say, and tell us what we need to know. And then we'll just go on and carry on a conversation amongst ourselves while she's recording. And if we're not paying enough attention, it'll holler her name out and she'll have to, make communication back. And it's like, But yeah, overall, the team is good. I mean, everybody's got their own thing. Lisa's like the IT or ITC person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, I don't even know what I would classify myself as. I don't know. I'm an investigator. I'm
Yep.
the curiosity. I'm the one that the spirits like to manipulate and tell me to turn around and look at the wall and shit.
You're kind of like Mark.
I'm for experiment. And
I just tell everybody, look, man, I'm just a human being, you know, and we're out there investigating, talking to things that we can't see. Well, sometimes we can, but
Mhm.
it's we're trying to gather evidence of what is it that is to come for us once we pass on. And I've asked that question, and all I hear from the spirits, all they will tell me was paradise. It's beautiful. Things like that. They'll give me
Right.
those little, you know. Now I have talked to a spirit who he hung himself from a tree, and to this day he has to keep hanging himself over and over and over and over and over. And I asked him, how long do you have to keep doing this? And it came on the obelisk with a voice and said, until the angel tells me to stop. So I wonder, in our minds, the way we can, look at things biblically, I guess you'd say, would that be his purgatory?
right.
He has to relive, and this is just me, right? This is my an analogy of it. Does he have to relive his hanging until the actual death date that he would have died naturally in the book of life? Is that span of time? Is that how long he has to? I don't know, but that's just something that popped into my head.
Right.
We won't know until we're not here no more.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Or
won't
until
know.
until
Yeah.
Judgment Day comes too, as in the
Because
fact
I'm
that-
telling you,
I
if
think,
I
I
got
think even before any judgment day from any form of religion,
Mhm.
once you have shed the mortal coil, once you have become a spirit, you'll be able to talk to these people and figure it out a lot quicker than us trying on this side of the veil.
Right.
And yeah, I've had that discussion too. Everybody's like, well, spirits and ghosts are the same thing. I'm like, no, they're not. But I do have a question about the connection between the two for anyone who might want to answer. Do you think a ghost, which is an earthbound soul, can become a spirit through its own form of enlightenment after death?
Absolutely. And the reason being is because whenever that something is lost or sad or still has business to do, if business is accomplished, I believe that they can be vanquished through that and or found and or helped to achieve their enlightenment.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm sorry if I continuously mute myself. It's just a little noisy here sometimes, and I know you guys have a hard time hearing me. But there's another thing I was going to say. The other reason I believe in the difference between a ghost, which is an earthbound, and a spirit is religious factor.
Right. And yeah, I can't dispute that.
But then you also have spirits that are in time loops too, that just keep doing the same thing over
But if
and
they're
over.
actual spirit, they're not stuck in any kind of a time loop.
Well, you would think.
A spirit, in my own perception, is a free-thinking entity of light
That would actually,
In
that
other
actually,
words, sorry, Sean.
Michelle, thank you for finding my.
somebody's got some backlash going on. But I mean, it actually gives
I
you.
know I do. That's why I keep muting between sentences.
Yeah,
I mean,
what you're hearing. I think what you're hearing, Sean, is your voice coming back through Michelle's phone and coming through her microphone. It's looping.
That's probably. But I lost my train of thought here.
I believe that spirits can become stuck and we can release a spirit, or ghost could be trapped. See, the difference between that is spirits are sentient, so to speak. They know things, but ghosts are actually able to communicate with
I
us.
used to watch this. World was shocked.
They know more than, I guess what I'm saying is spirits know more than just their past life and the life at hand, because they've traveled beyond.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So do you think what Sean's describing as these time loops where the event happens over and over, do you think it could be an event that was so sudden and so tragic that it kind of just left some residual energy there and it just keeps replaying itself?
I think that could happen a lot. And not even, a person doesn't even have to pass on for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, in your own home, if you give off enough positive energy at the right moment, I feel like that energy will be recorded in the location to replay at that exact configuration of events again, all the time. So that could be like a residual loop going on over and over again.
Right. So like we went to a house in Pekin, and decades ago, in the basement in one room, a woman was raped multiple times and then eventually killed. And there are times that the owners of that house hear something downstairs, and he went down. Of course, he didn't have a camera, didn't have his phone with him. He went down the basement and he said he saw this smudged handprint, like a hand going down the wall.
Right.
And he said he ran upstairs and he grabbed his phone, went downstairs, and then it was gone. And he says, I think there is a time loop down there that it was so brutal that energy was just stuck there.
Yeah, that release of energy is imprinted directly into that location, and it will continuously replay no matter what you do to it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, I mean, a psychic imprint, I don't think you can ever remove. It's just there. It's, you know, like if you record over, like old cassette tapes, like we were talking about earlier, if you usually record over and over and over, eventually you're going to hear your first recording on the 97th under all those layers, because you can't really get rid of it.
Right.
So it's just going to keep, you know, a psychic imprint, I think, is different than a time loop. But it could, I don't know, it could be the same thing.
It's kind of an interesting theory now that you think about that. I mean, a psychic imprint would, how do I say, deal with more of manipulating the energy to keep it going, and the energy within you. But then it would have to be fed from a source outside where it's still feeding off energy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in that case, in those cases, the energy that was released at the time of an event, that traumatic, will use any energy in the area without even, because it's not a conscious thought. It's just
Right.
a replaying of an energetic event. So it's not like a ghost trying to manipulate something to let you know what happened. This is, you're hearing or seeing images from somebody else that had gone through something like that. And, in a residential area, you've got all the electrical energy around, and older wiring, which is unshielded, will give off
Right.
electromagnetic energy as well as electrical current.
Where to be able to feed off of it.
So it'll all feed right into it and keep replaying those things. And even if you put in brand new wiring, and that goes right to the stone tape theory, I mean, everything is connected in some way, and there's always energy floating around that.
Well, I mean, the earth itself gives off energy. And if you got old houses with limestone basements,
Yeah.
and there's the other connection right there with the limestone. I mean, with energy that would come through the limestone through the ground.
Like where you guys are headed to in Lewiston, if there's limestone in the ground and running water, and they disturbed it, then basically they just charged the battery up. So it's going to start kicking up energy all over the place.
True.
So.
Very true.
Oh hell! All right. Well, I don't mean to cut everybody short, but I do.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half. We're good. So, everybody who's been watching, thank you for watching. This is the Enlightened Souls Paranormal Wolfpack Podcast. My name is Mark,
and I'm Sean, and our guest David here.
David,
and that's David down there. He's from the Pennsylvania Underground Paranormal Society, better known as PUPS.
Yeah,
and everybody.
Too bad Lucy couldn't stay on. That'd been an interesting conversation with her as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to get her back on here one of these times.
Yep. So everybody, just be kind to each other. Love each other. There's enough bad stuff going on in the world. We need to overcome all that and start having positive things happen in our world. So just do a favor for somebody. The other day, I'll tell you something I did. I was at Walmart. Young girl was trying to buy groceries and some stuff for her kids, and she was short like $25. I didn't just give her the $25. I paid for her whole grocery cart. I just said, here. It was like $73, and that left her money for her kids and for other things. So just do something nice for people, as long as it doesn't make you, put you in trouble. Right.
Right.
But everybody just be nice to each other. And, when you're talking to spirits, be kind, be courteous. Don't antagonize,
Treat them like they were your best friend in the entire world.
Yep, right. Exactly.
And who knows what you'll learn along the way.
And for all the new ones out there, for all the new teams and new paranormal investigators, I highly recommend you don't go alone. Always have somebody with you, not just because of spirits, because you never know, something might happen to you, right? And you're going to need somebody there to call 911 or do whatever needs to happen. So be nice to everybody, man. Thank you, Moose. He says, awesome. And remember, God bless everybody. Have a great night. From Enlightened Souls Paranormal Wolfpack, from Mark and Sean, have a blessed day. Bye.
Peace out.